Okay, it's 9:04 a.m. I want to welcome everybody to the regular tribal council meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. today. We call to order at 9:05 a.m. That's Louis. Louis, say a word of prayer for us, please. You can remain seated if you please.
Yes, Father, we ask for further as we go over issues for the we pray for the tribe and the trials and tribulations we're going through. Help us. We need your help. We pray for the elders. We pray for those who are serving their country in the military. We pray for the children. And we pray that we can eradicate meth from our community because of the adverse effects it has upon all of us as Winnebago people. We thank you for the blessings you've given us. Compared to other tribes, we're doing pretty good. And we thank you. Bless the people that are here today and their families. Give them health and tranquility. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Louis. Now we're on to the agenda. Any additions, add-ons?
addition is senior Christmas gift money.
You gonna add that?
Yes.
You got numbers for that? Okay. We're gonna add senior citizens gift money. That'll be Tribal Council item 5. Any other additions? No other additions? Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Louis, second by John. Any objections to the motion? No objections? Motion pass 7-0-0. Reading of the minutes. Number 1, 10/14/19 monthly land meeting and general council meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Rollins, second by Eric. Any objections to the motion? No objections? Motion passed 7-0-0. Number 2, 10/24/19 CEO report.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Rollin. Any objections to the motion?
Colby, did you say 22 or 24?
24.
Okay.
10/24/19 CEO report. Motion by Eric, second by Rollin. No objections? Motion passed 7-0-0. Item 3 is 10/24/19 mid-monthly meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Rollin. Is there any objections to the motion? No objections? Motion passed 7-0-0. Ratifications. Ratify Resolution 20-38. Fiscal year 2020 Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services.
For the people that are watching live stream, can you kind of explain these things that are going on?
You'll have to come to the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Read it. Read the resolutions.
Okay.
Good morning, my name is Tanya Keller. I'm just saying for the people that are watching live stream, go through these things and they may not know what you're talking about, so if you can explain what you're passing and same with all the rest of them, if you could just explain what it's all about. Thank you.
This grant is with the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services Child Care and Development Fund. It's for the amount of $9,971.73. The main purpose and goal of this is to create a safe and predictable child care environment which will foster healthy social and emotional development in children. Do we have a motion to adopt?
Motion to ratify, Chairman.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Eric. Is there any objections to the motion? No objections. The motion passed 7-0-0. Okay, we're on to new business. Item 1. Adopt resolution.
Chairman,
Yes.
the updated agenda has another item for ratification.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I got it. Sorry about that. Apologize. We have one more ratification. This is adopt resolution 2018A. It's an amended agricultural lease, allotment 487. It's just a
It's a bid lease for a 5-year term, 74 acres, 18,265.20 cents. Motion to ratify, Chairman.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Louis. Is there any objections to the motion? No objection. Motion passed 7-0-0. That takes away that one. There is no old business. We have. Yes, come to the microphone.
I'd like to say something under old business. When are we gonna discuss the meth in this community, or are you guys gonna make some kind of decision? You know, we got babies being born that are meth, and we're doing nothing to the mothers. The babies are gonna suffer the rest of their lives, and the mothers are gonna go free. It's about time you people at this table took a stand. You've got to take a stand. And we've got to get, it's for council business, is the enrollment taken care of? Or is that still pending somewhere? Question.
Okay, we are addressing the meth problems. I really can't.
I know, but it's being addressed for a lot of years. I was on a committee about 10 years ago, and talking to some people, nothing's changed. Somebody's gotta make some hard decisions here, because it's not getting any better.
Yeah, it's a very big problem. We know.
Well, I guess as long as you guys know. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruby. Any comments? No
I'd like
comment.
to comment that I have been appointed to the Police Review Board. We're having our first meeting here on the 14th, and I'm really looking to make some progress on this meth. I'm looking at discussing banishment, discussing, if our judicial system is connecting with our police department and bringing in wildlife and making all them departments work together. Thank you.
That's good, because that's probably about the first meeting that the Meth has had.
Yeah, anytime we want to make comments, we got to come to the podium, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Since we're talking about the 10-year issue of meth, I just remember that when the tribe took over our court system, the thinking was always not just criminally punishing people, but there was also get them help. And we got this DDU over here, and it's currently under the Great Plains area Because a few years ago, a past chairman signed it back to the Plains Great Plains without a council motion to that effect. So why don't you guys reverse that signing by the chairman, the past chairman, giving that DDU back to the area? Reverse that, because there was no motion when that was done. And then we turn around and we adopt a resolution once it's back under our control. We need to address meth detox in that DDU, because we have sick people and we're not offering that other half of rehabilitation for them. And that DDU is next to the hospital. We need to help them get detoxed from this. It's a sickness, an addiction. So at the same time as we're looking at the criminal prosecution of it, we need to also equally find a way to help our sick relatives get care. And we got this DDU over here. So I'm just asking that the council consider both sides of this, so we can get help for those that are sick on this, but at the same time address how do we prevent in these other areas. Thank you.
I want to say thank you for coming forward and then bringing this subject to the forefront. We discussed this issue with this DDU over there at the hospital with the board, the current board that's sitting there. And I, for one, feel that we should have a better relationship with that DDU. Whereas right now there's no face-to-face communication with the people that are currently running that facility, and it's here on our reservation. That speaks poorly on where we're failing in that regard. So I brought that to light, and I hope that sometimes by the end of this week or the beginning of next week, we can do a sit down and have a face-to-face and start that dialogue with the people that are currently sitting there running the facility. And that's a start. And I agree that some of the things that happened with past councils probably wasn't in the best interest of the Winnebago community. And I for one, would like to see the Winnebago tribe step forward and then try to do their best to make sure that this facility is one of the top-notch running in all of Indian country. We've been working very diligently to try to make sure that we have a outside treatment facility, a halfway house, three-quarter-way house, and so that we have a sober living community. And there's still much more that has to be done in regards to that. I had a preliminary discussion with Lance Morgan, because I'm on that board up there, in regards to perhaps working together to build a transitional living community. Now, we could either make it a complex or a cluster of small homes. It depends on how we want to go at it and what we can do to get the more bang for our buck, so to speak, so that we could accommodate that. Because right now, housing is addressing this issue, and they're testing, and that's good. That's good that HUD's taking a step forward to address it and acknowledging that it is an issue. So I'm very happy that they're working toward that. That's a step forward. But it also creates a number of other issues that we now have to concern ourselves with. And so we're diligently working on those issues to find solutions to. And so this is all preliminary dialogue. There's nothing on paper. There's no concrete plan, but there's thought and work toward it. So just to inform our membership and all of you, the direction that we want to take with this, because we understand that it's a life-threatening illness. Addiction is one of the things that destroys people, Indian people, throughout Indian country. And so there's no future there. It's a dead end. And a lot of our relatives, they're not going to change unless they're made to feel uncomfortable. Most people with addiction issues, they won't change their habits unless there's a health issue or the laws over their head. And then hence the uncomfortable part of it. So then they're forced to address that and look at change. And so it's not going to be an easy thing. But with your concern and you coming forward and wanting us to bring this to the forefront, that's good. And I'm happy that you did that today. So I try to say these words to encourage you and to inform you that this is the direction that we want to take, that we're looking towards. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Chairman, this is all valuable discussion, and it needs to happen, but we do have an agenda, so I would like to call order, and maybe our Secretary Whitewater can write down those issues, and we can put them on the mid-monthly. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, we move on to tribal council items. Number 1 is Llewellyn Walker Jr. housing issue. Is Thunder here? Okay, we will skip Llewellyn, and I'll get right back to him after we're done with item number 2 is Daphne Evans. Come to the podium, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The reason I'm here today is that there's like a million rumors floating around out in the community about things that are happening amongst people at this table. And I just want to get that out in the open and then hear the other side of the story, because in my life experience, rumors are usually about half of the truth. So if you go to the source and you ask the other side, then you know the truth is someplace in the middle. So I want to kind of have you guys address the things that are being said in the community, because frankly I think these rumors are tearing our community apart and causing so much dissension that it's time somebody asks the hard questions and says, is this true, is this not true? So one of the first things that I know that's floating around in the community is that there's a group of tribal council members that plan to fire Lance Morgan and replace him with another community member, and that this action wasn't something that was decided at the table. It was amongst a small group of tribal council members. So I'm curious about if that's true or not.
That is not true. We've had no discussion at all.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm asking each individual member to respond, because apparently there's a group that kind of decide that they're going to act on their own volition and make plans to do things like that. Whether that, you know, you're telling me that's not true, but is the council in agreement that that's not true?
I guess what I want to say, I don't want to address hearsay. Is there anything written? Do you have any written complaints or any
No,
written?
but this is the stuff that tears our community apart, Coley. You know that as
I
well
know
as
that,
I do.
but
So if you're saying that you're speaking for the whole table and the whole table's in agreement that the answer is no, then I'd like to hear that.
okay.
I can start. Okay. My name is John Snowball, vice chairman, and I came into this with an open mind and free of ill will. And I am a member of the board of directors for Ho Chunk Inc. And I have been in no conversations of replacing people, firing people, and moving forward, you know, I think it's going to take all of us. And
That's true.
as far as this table, there's no one council member that speaks for the tribe. It's the group, and everything should be coming from the table out. So if there is council members that are acting in the name of the tribe on themselves, you know, I believe that to be out of order.
I appreciate that response, John, because that's exactly what is can happen. It's happened in the past, just like when Lorelei said a previous tribal chairman signed that document that turned that over. So that's why I'm asking the question, because you guys should all be policing each other. I mean, I know there's those conversations that take place, but I just want to remind you of a few facts about HCI. After 25 years of successful operation of that business, why would you want to replace him? I mean, he's completed his task. And you know, the other thing is that there are a lot of people that say things about Lance and do things, and frankly, we're abusing him. Our own people are abusing him because he has negative things said about him on a regular basis. And that's what we do to our own people that go away from here, get an education, and try to come home and help. I'm going to ask each and every one of you, would you take the abuse that he's had over these last 25 years? I don't think so. So that should demonstrate to you that he has the best interests of this tribe in his heart, whether anybody wants to believe it or not.
Good morning, Daphne. Thank you for the question. I would just like to go on record saying that I support HCI, that I'm very thankful for the executive management team that are leading the company in the direction of success and prosperity for the Winnebago tribe. And I think that that example of integrity and support of our entities and programs has to come from the table. And having council members collude amongst themselves and come up with these types of discussion points, you know, I think is a really real thing. And I'd be open to learning more about that, because, you know, we all have room for improvement, and if there's things that we need to work together on, you know, I think that there's a more productive way to go about doing that than trying to have small group think conversations and tear us down from the inside. So thank you.
I appreciate your response. I don't know if any of this is true. You know, this is another rumor that Ho Chunk was attempting to access or borrow from the Children's Trust Fund, and that's blatantly untrue. So if the communities heard that, or the outside communities heard that, that's not true at all. You know, and I don't know where that rumor got started or how it got started, but if you're a responsible adult and you're a responsible member of this community, you're going to go to the source and ask. So that's what I'm attempting to do here today, is make sure that all these lies that are being told are dispelled or taken away, because personally it hurts me when I talk to people. Some people tell me those things and then I'm like, that's not true, because I asked, you know, and then they're surprised. You know, I think that it's this table's responsibility when they hear those rumors, because I'm not an avid Facebook user, but I hear things being about things that are posted all the time. And I know some of you use Facebook. So when you see those kinds of things, as a responsible member of this table, you should be dispelling those rumors and not just letting them slide by. You know, that's disappointing.
Chairman. Robert's Rules of Order allows for 2 chances to speak. Daphne, you have a lot to say. So
you know what? That's the other thing. That's the other thing.
Chairman, do I got the table?
Yes.
Or do I got the floor?
John,
So if we got your question. If we can go around the table and receive the responses, that'd be good.
Okay. So what's the next thing then? So what are you telling me? That's what I'm asking you, John.
That Robert's Rules of Order is to remain within order and not be duly delayed. That allows for 2 10-minute speeches per person.
So as a tribal member, I'm not going to be able to stand up here and address these issues.
Speech limits on debate. You may speak and debate twice.
I'm not debating with you.
Well, I'm saying that we're being unduly delayed. So if we would,
So my concerns are of no consequence to you.
I've addressed your concerns.
I have a whole list of rumors. That's why I'm here.
It's rumors. We need to
Mr.
deal with
Chairman.
facts here. There's no rumors. This
Well,
is
then you
facts.
guys are ready to.
I have a lot of rumors against me that are not true.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Mr. Chairman. What I'm hearing from John is that that Daphne put out the first issue and John and I answered, but the rest of the table haven't answered that, so we still have that open issue before we can move on to the next. That's what I heard. I don't know if.
Okay, that's fine.
How many rumors do you have that we're going to address here?
Do you want the enumerated list? There's 16 of them on here. And if you guys don't care about what's going on and tearing up our community, then that's fine. But I want you each to tell me that.
Mr. Chair. After Mel gets done speaking, I would like
Mel.
Last Friday, I had heard this rumor myself, and I was doing some work in town. And I had came down and I mentioned to Mr. Vice Chairman about the rumor. Is this true? And he indicated to me he had no idea. There was no discussion about it, nor have I had any discussion at this table of the question that you asked. Thank you.
Daphne, and I appreciate your concerns in regards to what's being said. Mind you, rumors. We can't control what's being
I'm
said.
not asking you to do that.
Let me talk, please. Please,
You're not letting me talk.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead. I'll listen.
So I'm trying to say is that I appreciate you coming forward and expressing your concerns. I agree that there's a lot of division and people spreading malicious lies and innuendo and rumor does not make a cohesive group. Doesn't make a good environment for anybody in this community. I agree with you. With that being said, it is not within our power to control what anybody's going to say. People are going to talk. They're going to make up their own mind and they're going to say what they feel. And if they feel that they're right, that's their prerogative. We can't control that. What we can do is try to work with the issues that are in front of us. And that's why we're here. So thank you for bringing that forward. Now, as far as with Mr. Morgan, I don't necessarily agree with everything that Mr. Morgan does, but I do feel that Mr. Morgan brings a lot to this community, and he has for over a number of years. And I have expressed that to Mr. Morgan on more than one occasion. I, too, sit on that board. And you heard me clearly say that I'm looking forward to try to work together with Mr. Morgan to help address some of these issues that we're faced with. So I wanted to say that to clear the air. Now I would like to move on, Mr. Chair.
I just have one question. the day after the swearing-in ceremony, why were you and Council Armel seeking advice or whatever legal from another law firm?
In
So
regards
what,
to
so what, you're done listening to me? Is that what you're saying?
Let's move
I
on.
asked that question because maybe this rumor may be true.
See, this is how you start
Mhm.
allowing things to
Can't
move on.
allow that.
Move on, Mr. Chair.
Oh, so they run the show, is that it? Chicky and Rollin run the show?
Here we go.
Is that what you're gonna let happen?
No. Can you?
Because if there was a time limit, I should have been notified about that before, when you sent it out, that I was gonna be heard today. Otherwise, I would have asked the most important question. There is another rumor, and you know what? You guys completely missed the point. You're supposed to be telling the truth to the people. Transparency, transparency. That's not happening. You can't even say whether or not any of this is true. And you know, the thing is I wasn't asking you to do anything about the rumors. All I was asking you to do is say that this table's not taking that action. Because one of the most important things that I've heard that's been happening is that a couple of tribal council members went to the U.S. attorney and invited them to prosecute the leadership up at HCI. And if that's true, then you violated your oath anyway. And maybe you need to be replaced. Because when you're inviting any kind of governmental
Order,
entity
Chair.
in here. Okay.
Come on, call the order.
All right.
Thanks,
I know where
Daphne.
my votes are going to go next time.
Okay, move on.
Those are rumors.
To the agenda.
There's still rumors.
Joy, for the record, I answered, Tori answered, and Mal answered, and Rollin answered, and Coley.
You know what? This is just another representation of how you don't even care about what the people are saying and thinking.
Right.
Jeannie?
I just wanted to say that I think you should take time to listen and speak honestly. I mean, that's the least you can do for us, is listen to us. We can't, there's nowhere else for us to go. And your word, I heard around the table from various council members about time. Look what time we started. And look what time it is. That's not very much time. You're being paid 24/7. We could sit here all day.
It's not like you're not all making money sitting up there.
And
Probably making more than everybody sitting in this room.
And it's frustrating for us to come here and be stonewalled. Stonewalled. That's what you're doing to us, Coley. All we want is for you to hear our concerns, and that's part of your oath. That's part of your job. That's part of your duty. That's part of your fiduciary duty, is to listen to us. Where we are while you're sitting there.
Exactly.
You're doing our business. We're not here doing your business. You're being paid a salary to do our business. And we can't even come to you and talk to you.
You only use Robert's rules when it's convenient to your agenda.
And I think when community members come and have an issue and want to talk to you, Robert's rules of order should be laid aside. Because we are the people. We are the tribal members. You could use it when you're doing white man business, but not when you're doing our business.
We're in that session right now. Sorry. And like I said, I will address written facts, signatures, but not hearsay
But
and
you know-
rumors. I'm sorry.
But you know what, Coley? It's the rumors and the misinformation that's tearing this tribe apart. And until they're addressed, until they're dispelled, we're going to stay fractured. We will. Guarantee it. Thank you,
Okay,
Coley.
thank you, Jeannie.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear the rest of Daphne's concerns or questions, and she filled out the form. It was signed by your office and she was supposed to be on the November 4th agenda, and it was postponed till today, so I don't know, the contents of her questions or the rumors that she may have heard, but I think that she deserves to be heard, Mr. Chairman.
Only fair.
Mr. Chairman, I, for one, believe in HCI. I believe in the people that are working there. I've been in politics since 1968. I've had 50 years to observe what's happening. I was on the council when it was poor, dirt poor. We only got paid $8 a meeting. But those old men showed up. They showed their commitment to the tribe. And a lot of good has happened. We do things now that I never would have believed we could do in the 60s. And we gotta protect our golden goose. HCI and the casino. It brings in the revenue that allows us to operate. We can have our differences, but we have to channel them through the board of directors. We just can't go running off, representing ourselves, because we're bound to represent the tribe. I've been a mediator. One of the important things of mediation that gives both sides the time to be heard. And if you don't hear people and let people express themselves, you will never come to a solution that will work. So, as long as the time it takes, we gotta take that time and listen to the people. They'll say things that are painful. They used to give me holy hell. I was told by one tribal member, because I'm half Ute, that I wasn't a real Winnebago. And that hurt. I went to her father and told him, She didn't realize that our grandmothers were sisters, that we were related. If I wasn't a Winnebago, she wasn't a Winnebago, too. And we need to give Daphne the time. It'd be painful to some, but we need to hear from the people. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis. Can you tell us who started these rumors? Would you be willing to do that?
I don't know who started them. That's why I'm here, trying to get you guys to say, no, this isn't happening. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking each and every one of you to tell me if any of these things are true.
Well, we should deal with facts. Something written, some numbers
You want a
on
copy?
paper.
You want a copy of this? Is that what you want?
Yeah, could you present that to us, and then maybe we could
Sure,
address
can
it?
you- sure, can you
certain-
make me a copy?
By ourselves, individually.
You know what? That's just crazy because that's the exact reason I came here. I want to look in each one of your eyes to see if you can look at me and say that this isn't happening. You can write down any.
No, okay, we'll listen to you, but if we... Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So there was another rumor that the council decided to pick their own replacement for the vacated seat. I want to know if that's true. That certain council members had put in names to see to replace the vacated seat of Jim Snow. Outside people, outside community members that never put their name on the ballot. That was the other rumor. When that should go to the next highest vote getter. I heard a lot of that in the community before, the voice of the people, so that's why I'm asking that question.
Any responses?
I thought he was going to read off all the questions. I was going to write them down, then I could respond.
Okay. So the next one after that, picking your own replacement by certain council members, is that there was a headhunting list prior to certain people getting on the council. They said they would get rid of people that either wronged them, didn't listen to them, had to tell them no. So I want to know if that's true. And then there's a question about your salaries. That the tribal council salaries are in excess of $1 million. If that's true, then that means you guys are getting about $110,000 apiece. That's why I'm here. Those are the kinds of things that are being said, and that's why I want you guys to be able to tell the whole community at the same time that that's not happening, or that's not true, or that is true. That's all I'm doing. I'm not asking you to tell people to stop spreading rumors. You're not going to be able to do that any more than you can get them to stop using meth.
Next question.
That some tribal council hopefuls made promises to certain people for votes, and that a council person is sending their constituency up to social services and demanding that those people be dealt with before anybody else. And that to date the program spent in excess of $3,000 taking care of those people only. That there was a group of tribal council members attempting to locate funds or using funds to renovate a house for a family that was being evicted for meth. That tribal council members are paid stipends for their committee positions in addition to their salaries that they get. You're already being paid to represent us, and then you get a stipend check too? in that one tribal council member leaked a positive test result by a previous member, and that person, the person who leaked the information, was then contacted again this year asking them whether they were going to release that information again. And that nothing came of the previous member's positive test, but to get certain other members off, that the certain members are pushing that agenda again this year. That a tribal council person recently, or maybe in the past, used a taser on a community member and attempted to confront another tribal council member in the tribal building.
What was your one before that?
Before what?
That one you're just talking about, the taser. What was the one before that?
That one of the tribal council members disclosed the results of a positive test to somebody else, and it was rumor in the community, and that member was never, nothing was ever done. Thank you for your attention, Roland. I appreciate that. That a number of, this is the same one I talked about before you made me sit down, that a certain number of tribal council members invited the U.S. attorney to prosecute whole chunk management and leadership after the ATF's wrongful raid on our community. Let's see. In that, I wanted to make the point that you guys, if there's certain people on here that did that, you violated our Constitution, because you're supposed to be protecting our sovereignty, and that's not happening if you're inviting other governmental agencies in here to prosecute our people. And then I wanted to say this. I said, there's people saying that there's certain ones of you that go around and act independent of this table and say and do things to the program directors and so forth without the permission of this table. That's crazy. Acting independent of this table. There's been talk that a tribal council member yells, rants, raves at fellow councilmen, employees, and any individual that disagrees with them or doesn't immediately respond to their orders. You guys aren't here to give orders to anybody. You're not even here to give orders to each other. You're here to represent the people. And there's another rumor that a certain tribal council member or members may have created and filled jobs without following proper procedures, and they did that recently. You know, can you guys find money and create jobs for people? Then you better start doing it for everybody. And this one's not a rumor. I personally witnessed this one. People brought ethical complaints to this table. The tribal council simply said they're frivolous. They didn't give any kind of, even though there was documentation and the whole 9 yards, because you don't want to have to deal with your own and doing that policing. I think you guys need to define what frivolous is. Oh, Roland, I'm sorry if I'm holding you up from doing something. And I think you guys need to put some teeth in that ethical business. So what do I do now? Sit down?
Okay. Yeah, you can sit down. We'll answer the questions that we can.
We need the responses, please, from each one. Without the list.
So the first one that I got is pick replacement. It is true that within the bylaws that the council is to appoint a qualified person, and at times the most that makes sense is the next vote getter, and I would say that and it needs to happen at a 2/3 vote. So the person would need 6 council members with support, and you know, I think there's a lot going on, and so that's the process. But I haven't been in any conversations on what we should do, or if it's even going to come to the agenda yet. The headhunting, I'm not aware of any list. I haven't been a part of any conversations on that. Salaries, I was actually pretty surprised about the council salary when I came on. It's very comparable to what I was getting, and I'm aware of directors that get more than council, and I know that it was moved down 30% and it was moved down 10%, so it's down 40% from 2015, I believe, and it's lower than most tribes, and I think it's moving in the right direction, because that's what the people want, and the council is here, and I know some council members are very capable, and they could be making money somewhere else, but they're here because they feel the duty. Promises for social services. I've made some promises, and my promise was that I would be fair, and I would use my own reasoning, and I come to this table in a good way for the people. I mean, that's the only promise that I know of. So locating funds for a family that was evicted by meth I'm not aware of anything about that. Stipends for meetings. There is some boards that do have stipends, and as far as getting stipends for those meetings, I think that's up to each council member. I know Louis is famous for not taking the stipends. That's about what I know on that. The drug test. So there is a drug test policy for the tribal council. It's a hair follicle, and the chairman has ordered those follicle tests. I took my test last week, and I was notified that it came back negative. As far as the rest of the council, I think each council has the right to request those test results. So each one of us can request the test results, so we can govern each other. Taser, I don't know anything about the Taser incident. So there was a verbal altercation that I was there for. I was having a meeting with Tori, and some of the things were coming up, and Tori and Chicky's offices are right by each other. So they came in and they had a verbal altercation. It was a little elevated for normal, but I didn't really think anything of it. I know people heard about it the very next day and was asking me. I was like, no, it wasn't too bad. The U.S. attorney did come in and meet with the council, and the ATF was brought up. I did not make any comments on the ATF. I didn't bring it up. Filling jobs. I have been no part of any kind of hiring. As far as I know, it's up to Esther and the managers. Ethical complaints, this is one of the things that I've been really reviewing, is the ethical complaints and how it works, and then for me, applying law and applying policy is really something that, I feel is one of my strong points, coming from law enforcement and managing and directing. So I've been reviewing those, and when they come up, I'm going to ensure that I'm going to do everything within my power to that the process is followed through. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Daphne, can I get your list?
Sure.
Anybody else who's going to comment next?
I'll comment. Okay, your first question. There was never no rumor by me to fire Lance Morgan and replace him with another community member.
Okay.
And I don't know who this community member would be anyway. I have no idea. Okay, and I don't know about this children's trust fund account. The only thing that I was concerned about with the children's trust fund account was there was trying to be a committee that I heard that was taking money from the portfolio. So that was my concern, and I didn't know what that was, so I was trying to question that. Old Chunk is borrowing $1 million from the tribe. I don't know about that. Oh, on the replacement of the vacant seat. From reading that, it said that when someone dies, then tribal council can appoint by 2/3 vote. So I don't know who that person would have been. So it would have to come to the table and then we just vote from there. So I don't know. I didn't have nobody in my mind. Headhunting list. I don't know about no headhunting list either. Salaries, I did question that when we were in our orientation about the salary, because I was clueless to anything. You know, I didn't know how much anybody got. So, and like Posts had mentioned at the orientation that it was lowered in the past years. And I do know that there are other employees in the tribe that are making a lot, like double
So is
some
it
of the council.
comparable with the education and the years of experience? Is that how that-
I don't think so. I think it's just the position itself, where they're making like double. And this here about promising to people for votes, I had never done that, but I heard that's one of the rumors that's been going around, that I had sent a list to social service to help people, and they said it came to 3,000. I never helped any of my family. They know not to come to me to ask for me for help. The only person I helped was an elder, and she needed propane. And all I did was had them take her applications for that. This other girl that came in, and she's a tribal member. She's a young lady with children. It was cold. It was going to be a weekend. She was without electricity. So then I did the 5 signature for her to help her out, and that's like a one-time thing. And then advise them that they need to plan better so that this don't happen again. Drug testing, I don't know about that. The only thing that I seen on that was Tori had sent a message regarding this, so I imagine this came from her rumor. I didn't see nothing, but she said somebody's was leaked or something. So I'm clueless to that. That might have been last year or something, so that was before me. And the Taser incident. I didn't confront somebody. When I went by, they were jumping my daughter. There was 2 ladies jumping my daughter. I jumped out and I told them to stop. I had the Taser. I waved it. And I said to stop, otherwise I tase you, and they were both jumping on her at that time. So I tased her, and it was a small little handheld. It's not a big old giant thing. So that's what happened. And Jason Lawrence is here. He's witness.
And I would like to say that it was my fault. I'm the one that did that, not her. I had a problem with those girls. I moved back from New Mexico. And those girls kept bugging me more than one time. You can sit there and smile all you want, but more than one time. And I told them, stop. What are you looking at? And they were just like, next thing you know, they went and keyed up my car. That's what that was about. I went home. Cheyenne Mallory was saying something, whatever. I went to her house, confronted her about it. And then I thought everything was all good because there was no fight, no nothing. And then next thing you know, I was driving by with my kids in the car, and here comes Cree Mallory running out to my car, trying to grab me through the window in front of my kids. And I said, you know what, hold on. I went and took my kids home, came back. All of them were all sitting outside the house ready for a fight. So they're all sitting out there waiting, and somebody wants to say kids were crying, well, they obviously planned that. They knew I was going to come back, so that's what happened. She was trying to tell me not to go. And I didn't listen to her. I didn't listen to her. And so that was my fault. And I owned up to it. Ask Jason, he was there. So yeah, it wasn't my mom, it was me. So I'm taking the fault for it. And everybody wants to be saying stuff about people on tribal council doing stuff. Well, what about the rumor about Tori going up to, what is her name's house, twice while you're on tribal council? What kind of tribal council woman does that? Point fingers. Yeah, well, that's wrong. That's ethically wrong. If you're sitting at that table, you should know not to be doing stuff like that. Even I know.
I didn't go up to someone's house.
But I'm not going to be sitting there on tribal council pointing fingers when I'm doing something.
Well, I
I'm
didn't
called to
go up
order.
to someone's
Call to
house,
order.
so
So I'm just saying, everybody wants to say stuff about rumors. Let's bring out all the rumors then.
Yep.
Not just attack this person and that person. Let's bring out all the rumors. And the thing about the enrollment, every tribe you go to, if you're half, you're going to hear it from that tribe. I hear it. I'm half and half. I come here. Nobody says that. When I go back to my Navajo reservation, oh, she's just saying that she's part Navajo. She ain't Navajo. So it doesn't matter. You hear that on every reservation. Where you go, if you're half and half or whatever, just a little drop, they're going to say that to you. So we might as well just come to the conclusion of, hey, you know what? My kid is going to be with this one. Talk to our kids about that. That's what I talk to my kids about. My daughter, she's with a whole chunk now from here. You know, I'm telling them, you guys need to get married. You guys need to do things the right way, not like this. You know, we all have our own faults in our past, but what counts now is who we are. And that's where we learn. We learn from the past. And you know what? Today, I'm going to be a better person. You know what? I feel bad about what happened with those girls, and I don't bother them or nothing. If anything, I would like to say hi, and you know, just it's in the past. Things happen, and I can forgive, and I want to come together. And like I said, you know, I love my people too. You guys are my people. Everybody has a voice, and it's not just the ones that, you know, who are working and everything. I mean, it's just about. There's just a lot of things that we need to come together on. And ethically, too, I mean, people want to talk about, oh, this person got hired. How did someone even get hired here that doesn't even have an AA? My uncle knows that I graduated from Little Priest, and you know what? I'm having a hard time getting a job. So you guys want to talk about ethical things and point fingers at people about hiring people. Well, how come I'm not getting hired? I've been filling out applications. I don't know how someone gets a spot as an editor that probably don't even have a bachelor's. And I was looking into that too, and I still can't even get in there and get an A from an AA. Well, I'm talking about rumors, and I'm just putting it out there. No, I'm talking about rumors about HR and hiring. Well, you think it's funny just because all your kids are all working? What about other people? There's other people. And the membership. Yeah, it's who you are. It's about who you are. You said it. That's what matters. Thank you.
Is there somebody specifically you want to hear from? You want?
Yeah.
Let's finish the round.
Are we still on ATR? Issue? ATI? Yes or no?
ATI.
Okay,
Okay,
I just wanted to bring this up. I hope you guys read this twice, maybe 3 times of what your words are in here. To me, they're good words. To me, you have to practice them. Because you're our leaders. I voted for some of you guys. I put my trust in you because you're the ones that are governing us. You govern us, Coley. You're our chairman.
You gotta make sure that each one here does the right thing. And I respect your position because you are our chairman. You're our chief. You're our leader. You're our leader for your table. And you got to make sure that the things that are done in a good way. Daphne had a lot of good points. I too wanted to hear rumors. I hear a lot of rumors. But again, you know, everybody did. And that's right now, that's the main issue. Because still, this table is cut in half. It's still that way. That's the way it was on the last previous council. And this reservation has so much hate that we're not going to get anywhere because of the hate that each one has for this individual. Why is it that way? Because you know why? It's these ugly rumors that are going around. That's what makes hate. And when everybody leaves here, that's what's going to happen because, oh, Daphne talked about this. We don't want to hear that. Okay, that's a rumor. And when I talk, like I told you before, Coley, you know, work together. You and I talked about it one day. Together. And these are your words. We work together. We'll get things done. And we both agreed. But we sit and talk once in a while. Again, you know, I appreciate the position. And I really appreciate you listening to whoever can get up here and talk and express their concern. Because if they don't, they're going to go home and say, darn, I should have got up and said something anyway. Because when a person does get up here and stand and approach the council table and the council members, and then that gives each one of you something to think about while you're sitting in your office doing your duties, or whatever the case is. And the thing with this, Coley, I just wanted to mention that, you know, when you guys operate, I myself wanted to know that which constitution and the bylaws that is the table going to use for any given situation. Because right now, we're operating under maybe 3 or 4 different constitution and bylaws. If we stick to the 1934 bylaws in our constitution, those were legitimate. I don't know if you all seen that original bylaw of the Constitution, but I did. And what we're talking here today, you know, it don't mention anything about hearsay. You know, there again, Coley, hearsay causes a lot of problems. You know, that's really an ugly thing to bring up all the time, but you know, we say Indian country, but we don't care about other Indian countries. We care about our own, because we have our own problems. You know, I'm talking to you, Chloe, because, again, I say, I respect your position because you are our leader. Again, you are our chief. You were put there by vote of each council member. And when you sit down and work in your office, don't go into somebody else's office and start raising hell just because you heard something. How do you know it was true? Because all you did was hear. And I was hearsay. So once again, I just wanted to say and want to show this to you members, because this is what their words were if you guys read the paper. And they all state that we're gonna work for the people in their own words. So I suggest you go home and read and study it. They're yours. Good words. Mel had good words. So did Tori. And the rest of you did too. But I still respect all of your positions because you are our leaders. Ours. Each one of them. You're our leaders. You're our governing body. So like Deanie says, you have to make sure that things are run the right way and not by hearsay. Thank you.
Thanks, Benny.
Okay, back to my question, you guys. I was still on this. But I was trying to answer her question here about rumor that those who believe you can speak for the entire tribe. I don't speak for the entire tribe. We're here as a body. I don't. I'm new to here, so I'm still learning a lot of things, how the process is. When I came into this place, nobody said this is how it runs. So you're here, you basically got to figure everything out by yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do. And next one is about ranting and raving. I think the only time I did that is when I could hear clearly that Tori was talking about me to a lady came in earlier. I tried to ignore it, do my typing. And then she calls John in her office, and I could hear her clearly saying that I did the election tampering. And prior to that, she was putting it out on Facebook that I did it. And so finally I just got tired and went in there. I said, if you got something to say it to my face. I'm right here, or you can come to my office. It's right next door. Come ask me.
You didn't say that.
Yes, I did. I said, you can come ask me. And John was sitting right there. So see, you're right. These kind of rumors hurt because they are lies. Like you said, somebody went up and said, I did that up there.
I didn't mention any names in any of it because my whole thing is that if there's names and they're out there, then it's obviously hurting someone.
Yeah.
But I didn't put any names in that document
Yeah,
because I don't presume to know the facts.
Yeah.
But this is the opportunity to deny or admit or whatever and take responsibility if that is in fact the actions you've been taking. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that that you're giving straightforth answers, and I'm glad that you felt the opportunity to defend yourself against those rumors about
because you know
what's
that
going on.
slander against me, trying to drag my name around and put things, and like they say I went out and bought some guy a R&R, and I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't drug. I stay home and take care of my kids. I raise my kids, they're grown up. I know how to live, I'm an adult. I don't do those types of things and never will. And I don't approve of drinking alcohol or drug. So that's why we did our drug test, a hair follicle, mine's negative. You know, so we're leaders here. You guys put us here, got voted in, we're here. None of us should be drinking or drugging. There was a policy done. Some of us didn't, some of them didn't. I don't know why they didn't, but it should have been done. Because we're your leaders, you look up to us, and we should be an example to everybody else. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not out to hurt anybody. I want what's best for the tribe. You know, we're divided, but I want us to be reunited.
I'm glad, because that's what I want. I
Yeah.
mean, look at how many,
Yeah, 'cause we're all
how many
related.
times have I been up here asking for just that?
Mm-hmm.
I think almost all of last year and now this year.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I guess the hardest thing is, and I learned this going to church, is that we need to pray for grace. Because we can't survive in this world without it. Grace lets us love each other unconditionally. So that's the thing, you know. We're all one family. And that's the thing about, you know, why I want this stuff to be resolved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's good, because we are all related, you know. And then, like I say, go back to selection tampering, which is going to come up next, and they'll, you know.
I didn't even mention it because I seen it was on the agenda. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that can be dealt with in your next session.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I appreciate you answering.
Tori?
Thank you, Daphne, for coming today. And, you know, not everyone's willing to stand up. And so I think that's really brave of you to come here and to ask this of the leadership and to ask for straightforward answers and ask for honesty. So the question about the appointments, I've heard that there were discussions on different names that were suggested, and I think that's okay. You know, it's not, we're allowed to have discussions amongst our colleagues, but what I don't think is okay is trying to craft strategy and things that would be self-serving. You know, I don't think that's okay, because as a body, you know, if we have this vacant seat, and then, you know, why haven't we had that discussion? But I know that there's smaller discussions happening. I just haven't been invited to those discussions. I would be in support of the next top vote getter receiving that appointment. That would be Brian Chamberlain. He was the fifth vote getter, I guess. And that just seems like that would honor the voice of the people and be in line with the votes.
Yes.
Please do it.
Did you get his letter this morning, Tori?
Yeah, before
No, I didn't.
I forget, Brian, he chooses not to. He wishes not to step in.
So the next vote getter would be Darla LaPointe. So, but no, I didn't receive that letter. The next thing was, is there a fire list? I too heard this rumor, and there's been concern over who's on this list. I've heard names, you know, but I haven't seen anything or heard anything directly from my from any of the council members. But I did find out that there was a directive given from our chairman to our CEO to fire.
No, that is
No?
not true.
Okay. Well, that must be another rumor then, because there was another rumor that our HR director was in jeopardy, and so if that's not true, because I just want to know, I guess I want to put it out there that the tribal council doesn't have the authority to direct anybody to be fired, and so I'm glad that's not true.
What was that? What was that rumor? I directed.
That they, so it wasn't you, it was they, so I don't even know who they is because it didn't include me. But that they wanted the HR director fired, and that's just not how it works with our policy and how people exit the organization. So I'd be very concerned if there are directives or strategies to try to hurt and harm our employees. As far as salaries, this past summer there was a study conducted on the the salaries of the organization and where we are in line with being a competitive employer. And I don't think we've received that report yet, have we, Esther? No. So that report hasn't been given to the council yet, but at that time, when we were going into the contract to get this work done, I asked that the tribal council salary also be reviewed so that we knew where we measured against a similar tribe of our size and revenue, and that the salary would be in line with those things. And so I'm really looking forward to that report. I did hear a little bit about it, that our employees are paid very well on the higher end of the, and then that our CFO and our CEO and our tribal council are on the low end. And so I'm looking forward to sharing that with the tribal members and gaining your support on whatever way, you know, that goes. But along those lines, I think that we should know what each tribal council makes and what the salary is. And when I had asked that question in our internal, what do we call it? Our reorganization meeting, you know, I think people got a little bit uncomfortable, but I don't think that it's any secret on what the tribal council makes. So I've asked that of our CFO. That wasn't in our last treasurer's report as I had asked. But I think that each of us should divulge that, and it's not even on the personal level. This is elected officials, and that's public information. Social services, that's another rumor that I had given notice that there was tribal council that were going up there and bullying the program. And so I'm not aware of that directly, but I would encourage that employee to use the whistleblower protection, not program, but policy that would help them protect themselves to report things like that. I didn't hear anything about using funds to create jobs, but I do know that last year there were some positions created and directives given, and those things weren't advertised. So these things do happen, you know, and I just think that we should all own those actions. And sometimes maybe it was a positive project, or maybe it was something good, but like we heard from Misty, there's a lot of tribal members that need opportunity, and so I always want those things to be advertised. I always want those things to be fair, and our people do deserve to work and have equal opportunity. So I'm not for all these hookups and giving people these side jobs or promises. It should be fair. And you know, sometimes it's not that they're the wrong person in that job, and maybe they would have been selected anyway because they do good work, but I just like to see people all have a chance. Let's see. Different tribal committees have stipends, different amounts, and different council members donate those, forego them, receive them, and so that's pretty unique in each of those committees. The hair follicle test, I've been very vocal about this from last year when the policy was drafted. I think that it was not drafted with integrity or good intentions, and I think that's why it wasn't upheld. I think that it needs work. I think it needs further protections so that we don't find ourselves in circumstances like we did last year. And under our former leadership, that hair follicle policy and what happens next when somebody you know, I don't know, it just has been inconsistently followed. And so then I ask myself, you know, what's its intent? What's the true intent of this policy if it hasn't even been followed, or issues of confidentiality, issues of HIPAA violation? You know, I have a lot of concern with that, even beyond the hair, you know, just in the process, and the hands of, or the, I don't know what you call that, but you know, the pass off of that information and where it's kept. And it's not fair to our Teresa, it's not fair to Esther, because nobody wants to feel obligated or have any type of responsibility for that information, or retaliation that can come of having to enforce that policy. And I would agree that what you had mentioned about, we don't have any unilateral authority. None of us do. Even our chairman, his position is to run a neutral meeting,
Mhm.
and none of us have the authority to do anything on our own. So, yes, I did. Well, you had mentioned the taser, and so thank you, Misty, for getting up and owning that, and that you had a disagreement with some girls in town. But I think what we can't disagree is that your mother was involved. And there was a confrontation in my office, and I had emailed John, and I asked him if he would be able to meet with me. So we set a time at 1 p.m., and turns out we had that U.S. Attorney's meeting at 1 p.m. So when we got done with that, I said, "Hey, John, do you have time to talk right now?" So he came in my office, and we sat at the table, and I said, "John, these are the 4 things that I want to talk to you about, and I want you to know how I feel about these things, because these are the comments that I'm going to make at the table." And so I wanted to not only let him know where I was coming from, but also be transparent. Like, I'm not secretly having these discussions. I asked for a meeting. I was in my office. And so I thought it was really inappropriate that Thelma would come in and say it to my face. Like, I was shocked. I really was shocked, because that's not how I conduct myself in the office. And if she thought I was talking about her, she was mistaken, because these are issues of the council. These are issues of the tribe. And I'm sorry that you took it so personal, Thelma. This is what my constituents have asked me to take position on. So, the TC invited U.S. Attorney to prosecute HCI. So I mentioned that we had that meeting with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and their role was to come here and update us on an annual basis of convicted and pending cases, federal cases. And at that time, there was a question of the status of the HCI ATF raid, and one of the gentlemen from the U.S. Attorney's Office said that they weren't able to comment on that. And so Councilman Armel said, "Well, I would just like for you to, I would like I don't know, I can't quote his words, but it was kind of trying to distinguish the tribal council from the HCI executive management, and that they should be held responsible in some way, and not the tribe." Bullying program directors. I think that goes back to or I wrote bullying program directors. I don't know what the exact question was, but I think that goes back to the integrity of our seats, and knowing our roles and responsibilities, and that none of us have the authority to go holler at people and accost people in the workplace. And I think that's just, I don't know why that's acceptable, but we need to talk nice to people at the minimum, and not be degrading them and speaking down to them, and so I'm not in support of that kind of behavior. Issue of TC conduct, I guess that's kind of the same thing, that we just don't speak to each other like that, and I think that's some common courtesy that we could all practice. TC filling jobs without HR procedure. That just goes back to what I said before. I'd like everyone to have an equal opportunity, and hope that that's the way things are happening. Ethical complaints. I have an example of the duty of us to uphold the ethical complaint process. There was an ethical complaint brought up against Kenny Mallory last year, and it had to do with the alcohol program. And I really hated to do that, because I love Kenny Mallory, and I grew up with him in the Reformed Church, and I have many memories as a child with him in Twyla. But I wasn't doing anything for Kenny. I was doing something for the seat, and for that we had to address that. And I also believed in the complaint. And so I just, and I see Kenny sitting back there, so I know that, we've healed from that, but I just want to use that as an example that, I won't protect anyone. It's the oath that I took to uphold, and when those ethical complaints come across the table, I think we should face them head on and be objective and be able to say that it's okay that that we can go through that exercise without it being dead on arrival by calling it frivolous. And that's all I have to say. So thank you, Daphne.
And thank you for your responses.
Coley, can I say something?
Yes.
First off, I would like to address a question to Thelma. At the forum, Thelma, you did mention that the children's portfolio, whatever that means, I'm no accountant, I don't understand some of these, some of the jargon that the accountants use, but you said at the forum, our children's portfolio was given to HCI. And that bothered me because I thought, are they messing with our children's money? And if they are, I was very concerned because, I mean, I'm down to great grandkids, and I thought, you know, I want something there for them somewhere down the road. But you did mention that at the forum. So my question to you, is that all taken care of, everything put back in place, or what was that about?
I'm not really sure, but I think there was like a report or something, so I'll have to find that. I'll have to
I
look.
could speak on it a little bit.
Okay, John knows.
So there was a time when, from what I know, before I was in this seat, that the tribe was looking for other ways to make revenue. And so it was put forward a plan to actively invest some money so the money would work for us. And the plan put forward took part of the children's fund, part of the portfolio, and part of other things. But the plan was never enacted. So that's kind of how that rumor was. It's never happened, and it was never even presented.
Well, I don't know so much a rumor because Thelma did mention it in public. So,
Yeah.
okay,
There was a
thanks for
document, but it
clearing.
wasn't approved or
Thanks for clearing that up. And then I'd also like to mention, you know, we're unique. We are unique people, even the way we run this table. So to sit there and say, Robert's rules says this, there's nothing in stone to Robert's rules that we have to live by. We should be able to do, and maybe to clear that up, this is, you can always add tribal members' comments on your agenda. That would open it up for all of us to speak rather than, and also I just kind of want to mention that I've heard some of you say you're traditional people. There's not one of us in this room that are traditional as we know what traditional is. Because if we were traditional, we wouldn't be talking to each other the way we have been doing. So if people say they're traditional, we're no different than the white man when it comes to that, because we are to the point. This table has shown there's hate. Benny, you know, dwelled on that. So think about, who is it you hate? There's greed, you know, where we all love that almighty dollar, and that's what we're going after, making, you know, a rumor, a list, give these people this much. Greed and jealousy. There is so much jealousy in this community that it's absolutely amazing, and it's scary. But it's also, is this what we're showing our kids? Because don't think they don't know what's going on. They know. And I think we need to really pay attention to how we talk to each other, what we're doing. I don't need to give a speech, but think of those three things: hate, greed, and jealousy when you make a decision at this table.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mel, you're gonna answer some questions.
I would like to address the council.
Hold on, we're call to order. We're finishing up here. We'll call you up here.
I'll just try to answer some of these things for Daphne. Appointed a council member. For me, it was, I just assumed we would go with the next vote, highest vote getter. It's what the people want. We listen to the voice of the people. So as far as the rumors of asking 20 other council members, some of it's probably true, but I never participated in none of that. The salaries, I don't take one. The headhunting part, when I was elected to this table, I've only wanted to do something good for our people. I never thought I had authority or any type of thing like that to come over any program director or anybody like that. It's not my job. People in positions are for that. Tribal council, I don't know what to say about the promising tokens or whatever you would say for a vote. It's true, it's just pretty lame. The meetings that are stipend, I know last year, as we were going through that, there are plenty of them that are stipend. But I've always chose the ones that weren't stipend. And the drug test policy, last year I didn't take it, and this year I didn't take it. And some of the concerns that Tori had mentioned on it, those are real. As far as the HIPAA part goes, is major. We could protect the tribe or anything, if those are to be violated. And so until it's in the Constitution, I feel I don't have to do it. And the Taser thing, I'd rather not comment on that. Nothing to say about that. We got here this U.S. Attorney stuff that had went on. I didn't attend the meeting, so I really couldn't compliment or say anything to that because I wasn't there. But through all of this, people, I want you to know that I only have a dream for us. As you read in my letter, some of you read it. Those are the things that we need to get down to, and thank you for some of you saying that about the spreading these rumors and things that they're hateful, and you don't know what to believe. And there's a lot of times I find myself wanting to respond at home to them, but it's not a good idea. Don't know what you're talking about. But for what it's worth, in the end of things, we do need to get along, people, and this table, and I know there's some stuff that's going on I'd rather not talk about, but and then filling jobs, it's not my job either. I just want you to know that I'm only here for one reason, for all of us, and all this micromanaging stuff. I don't believe in it one bit. Thank you.
Daphne, Louis wants to see your list. He wants to see your own rumor list. Just kidding. Yeah.
First question is about Trump management. I heard that rumor too, but I never saw any facts to back it up. But I do know if it was true, I'd like to know who the individuals were and why they wanted to tear down HCI. It's the kind of issue that if we have an issue with HCI, we ought to figure out a way to resolve it among ourselves and not call in the feds. Should also point out that the feds don't like to be set up. They also investigate those that are making the complaints. So it's not a one-way street when you deal with the federal government. On the whole chunk of attempting to access from the children's account, I've never seen or recall seeing anything about that. I don't know anything about Ho-Chunk borrowing $1 million from the tribe. On the picking of a replacement for the vacated seat, the council used the next highest vote getter when we made a replacement for Curtis, because that was listening to the voice of the people, and I'm still in favor of doing that. I would do that even if it was someone I opposed. It's a principle that I would follow. Do you understand how this council is supposed to work?
I don't think that's a question for you, Louis. You've been at the table long enough. I think you always carry out your duties to the best of your ability. I really appreciate you and respect you.
I've seen a lot of councils, some that worked together and some that was a constant fight. When you're in a constant fight, you don't get anything done with the people. An example where it says the chairman isn't the boss, so to speak. I somewhat disagree with that.
Okay.
He's like the quarterback. He calls the play, and we run it. But if we don't agree with him, there should be a proper time and place for us to discuss the wrong play he called, but not during the middle of the game. There's talk about one council member who yelled, rants, and raves at fellow councilmen, employees, and individuals and disagree with them. No council members come into my office and done that. If they did, I'd ask them to leave. Because I wouldn't participate or be intimidated by that kind of individual. I would report that individual to the council and the chairman. Another rumor is that certain council members have created and filled jobs without following proper procedures. I know we hired some people in the gardening program, but that was kind of like an emergency thing. It wasn't sneaky, it was out in the open. But I didn't see any councilmen doing anything sneaky about that.
Okay.
I don't know anything about a headhunting list. I haven't seen anything. On salaries, I don't know what anyone gets. I suspect that I and Eric get around the same wages, although I've been on the council longer and have more experience. He's just starting. But I think that what we make as salaries should be part of the public record.
Thank you.
And the whole tribe should know what we get paid. It shouldn't be a secret. So salaries should be disclosed. I don't know about tribal council making promises to individuals for votes. I've heard about a certain council member sending their list of constituents to social service program. I've seen nothing documented to validate that rumor. I know nothing of council members attempting to locate funds to renovate a house or family that may be evicted from meth. I understand that on stipends, some council members take the stipends, some donate, and I don't take anything because I think that's taking, when I was on the housing authority, or Winnebago housing, I didn't take any money because that's taking from the program. The same with boys and girls. Taking money, the stipend, is like taking money from the children, and I don't do that. On drug testing, I was worried last year when I had to go take my drug test because I'm on medication for my Parkinson's and other illnesses. And I thought that would show up. So I took my list of medications with me. And they told me that that wouldn't show up on the drug test that I took. So I wasn't afraid when I took my test this year because I've been drug and alcohol free since April 4th, 1980. The only contrary thing that happened is that I filled out the forms at the drug testing center, and they asked me, how are you going to pay for this?
Wow.
I didn't have any money on me. I didn't know I had to pay. So they had to sit around half hour till they got it worked out with the tribe. On the tribal council and the tasing incident, I don't want to comment on that because those are my relatives that were on the side that got tased. On the ethical complaints brought against a council person. And the council simply said the complaints were frivolous. I have to have my memory refreshed on that incident so I could comment on it. Election tampering occurred, and one council member decided for the whole table nothing could be done. That decision will be coming down soon. I'm of the opinion that election tampering did occur, but we have a ruling that we're going to talk about later today. I should point out that the chairman, since he was on the list, the voting list, should not have sent that letter because it looks like it's a conflict of interest. But I don't think it was meant to be deceitful. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Louis. I appreciate your responses.
Let's say, thank you for coming up and bringing us to the table. There's a lot of things that come with rumors, and I'm glad we can be here to get this straight. But what I'd also like to ask is it for, I know where I guess my name would come into part in a lot of these rumors, that is it okay to break the law? And the people that don't follow the quarterback's calls, should we hold their feet to the fire? I don't think it's we should be breaking the laws by any means. And I think we should be following the quarterback's calls, which would be the chairman's. And so, with what I'd like to start with is the U.S. attorney and the lawyer visit in Omaha. I'm new to the council, and I'm looking for answers. I'm trying to do a job. I'm trying to fulfill this seat and find out where our people's money is going, why it's going there. Everybody wants something, needs help somewhere, and we need to get answers. I need to get answers to find out where this money is going and why it's going. Why do we have a legal place? Why do we have big fire law and then we turn around and pay for somebody in Omaha? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm looking for answers. That's what I'm doing. Why are we spending more money on another attorney when we have our own law firm? And to be kept abreast of everything that goes on so that no corners are cut. HCI is an inanimate object. It's buildings, it's cars, it's papers. But it's the human element that is expendable. We are all expendable in what we do. We are all expendable. And if somebody is making a decision to get us to where we are today, in that upper echelon of that human element in HCI, then I think we need to hold their feet to the fire and prosecute as deemed necessary. HCI is a company, an entity within the council, our tribe. It has good intentions when it was created, but that human element might be fogging the air in that and taking us down a road we don't need to be going down. And so with that said, I want to just say that because HCI will always be here. I pray that it be here. I'll shoot for it to be here, as long as it's doing what it's supposed to do. But that human element is what concerns me. That human element is what I'm looking into. And I want to hold everyone's feet and actions accountable for what they do, for why we went through this. Is that reservation land? I don't know. Are we paying two legal entities to do the same job? I don't know. We should only be paying one. If only one's doing it, why do we need the other? That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm doing in this chair. I'm doing this for the people. There's a lot of things that we could be doing as a community, but we all need more money. All our programs need more money. We all need more jobs, which comes down to money. And so that's what I'm doing here. And so what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. That's the way I see it. If somebody believes that it's okay to break the law, raise your hand, show me. If there's somebody that thinks the tribal council table shouldn't follow Coley's orders, let me know. That also goes with the hair follicle test, not a urinalysis, not a oral swab, but a hair follicle test. We have people in our community that when they don't do a drug test at some places, some of our places here, facilities, wherever, the hill, they get fired for refusal. Why isn't the tribal council held to that same standard?
Because you'll have to have an election every little while.
Let it be. If that's the case, then let's have an election. Let's start bringing on that next highest person to come in and fill that seat. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is our quarterback making calls, and none of us, two of us at the current time, have turned that down. They give their answers, but the quarterback spoke. The people want to see this table held to those same lines of integrity and responsibility through our community. A lot of our people have been fired. We all probably have a family member that's been fired for refusing a drug test. Why should this table be any different? Then we can start bringing everybody that goes on that voting list. We can start running them through. We fall as we may. If I come up hot, kick me off the table. Let me leave this place. If I'm guilty, I'm guilty. Let that be. That's just me. And so with that, that's what I would like to see, is have that brought. It's nothing about, I can't think of that name right now. But anyways, yeah, my drug test came back negative. My hair follicle drug test came back negative. And so the intentions of the hair follicle testing for the tribal council is to keep us, our feet to the fire as we keep the people underneath us. And I personally would like to see that upheld. And if you guys would like to see that as well, then you'll agree with me. I could be wrong. There's probably people out there that are going to be saying, oh, it's okay not to do that. And those are the ones that are going to get fired. But we don't want that. We want people, we just want to hold ourselves to the same standard that we hold everybody below us. And so, can I get this? And so, with that, we'll leave that with what that is. The Children's Trust, I don't know. Salaries, I don't get paid a salary. I don't get paid a stipend for this meeting or any meetings that I'm on. Drug test, mine came back negative. The U.S. Attorney, we talked about that. Understanding how this council is supposed to work. I believe I'm trying to do that with what I'm pursuing. And if I'm wrong, and we shouldn't hold our feet to the fire as everybody else, let me know. Let me know. Give me a break. Who yells, rants, and raves? Disagrees with them or doesn't. I don't know. We all have emotions. We all have an understanding. We all have a job to do. Even at this discussion, we heard our voices getting elevated. And it was a discussion. It was a discussion, and that does happen. And the people that are ignorant out there, that are third party, that shouldn't, it's none of their business, and they want to make a complaint or whatever it might be, they need to understand that if it's not them directly in that business, it's none of their business as far as that goes. And why is it brought out into why is it here now at this table? When we should all say, put that away, close your door, mind your business, whatever that might be. Okay, even I'm getting my voice a little bit loud. I apologize for that, but it's just the emotion of knowing what goes on, what we are trying to do as a table, the concerns that you guys bring us, and those rumors that are out there. It's causing all this confusion and emotional distress upon us. I don't know. I don't know about the election tampering or being frivolous. The election tampering, there's a camera there. There's a camera there. We've seen pictures of that. If it can show a person taking that down, why can't it show a person putting it up? So until we get that hard, concrete information or that proof, I would deem that frivolous for what that word is worth.
Excuse me. It doesn't have to prove anything except that it was there and it was within 100 feet of the voting.
Anybody could have put that up.
That's what the code says. It doesn't say anything other than campaigning within 100 feet. And there was a candidate's campaign document within 100 feet.
You need to come to the microphone. We'll be addressing this at 1 o'clock today. For sure.
That's why I didn't talk about it when I was up there.
Okay, so I guess we'll be talking about that this afternoon. And so that's just a little bit of my point of view, because if that's the case, we can all take turns and go hang each other's posters up within 100 feet and let it just be that. And then what I would get deemed that election void, null and void.
Yeah.
So at somewhere we're gonna have to take control of that. Does anyone else?
I appreciate your answers, like I said, I didn't know who did what, but I don't think it's a good idea in any situation to invite the U.S. Attorney to do anything here.
if the law is being broken, we're not promoting and saying that's okay. No matter
But
what, if it's
kind
our
of
side
laws
or
are
their
you,
side.
what kind of laws are you talking about?
I don't know. Whatever laws are being broken to put us in the situation where we're at. Why is it, U.S. Attorney, they came here for a reason. I just got on. That was my first meeting with them. And whatever information they have, I want to know about. I would like this table to know about. I would like you guys to even know about if you have a concern about that, which I'm glad you brought that up. And so I'm just looking for answers on why they're here. I want to be brought up.
But please
abreast.
don't invite those kinds of people to come here and do those things.
If there's no laws, if there's no laws broken, if there's no laws broken,
they're going to try to find fault with everything we do to try to make ourselves self-sufficient.
Point of order. Roland wants to answer the questions.
Once again, thank you for your concerns. And then it's pretty hard to control what people are going to say and do.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for that.
Do that, you know, but to address it head on. You know, I talked about this whole chunk management, how I felt on that. I think I was clear on that.
Mhm.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then this children's trust fund account, that was never in question. The children's trust was never, ever, ever open for anybody to access. That's cut and dry. So that was what you say for sure a rumor.
Okay.
'Cause never was anybody ever allowed to touch that. I don't know anything about no borrowing of one million. The vacant seat is the vacant seat. We fill it with whoever is the best person for that seat. I don't know anything about no list. I heard that out there as well. I didn't like it when I heard it, but I knew exactly what that was. Somebody's out there just talking, saying things, trying to stir stuff up around here, causing all this angst. Here we are. There's all this anxiety, all this undue stress. Salaries. Some of them, this man over here, he makes it clear that he doesn't take a wage. This man over here, he doesn't take a wage. I don't know about the council vice chair here. If you're
We're currently navigating that, so program managers would have the opportunity, but right now there's no way for a program manager to continue on as far as keeping things in order with human resource, HR, and issues like that.
But to be out in the open with all that, I have no problems with it. I don't know anything about no promises for votes. Stipends. There are stipends. I take 0 stipends. Drug testing. I took my drug test. I think that everybody should take that drug test. We have a drug problem in our community, and let's lead and serve and help those that need the help. I don't know anything about no taser. U.S. Attorney, there are questions that would like to be answered. We're going to address that. I don't know if anybody's speaking for the entire table, acting rogue. I have spoke distinctly on occasion. I don't know anything about filling jobs or promising anybody a job. I know that we were working hard to make sure that there was seeds in the ground so that we had a garden. and that our cemeteries, where our relatives are laid to rest, were properly maintained and taken care of. I know that we had to act expeditiously toward that to make that happen, but there was nothing in secret. We have a process to follow when it comes to these complaints. It is what it is. And I don't know anything about no tampering.
I appreciate your responses.
Okay, so I did the best that I could to address all your issues. I thank you for bringing that forward. I thank all these tribal council members that sat there and tried their best to answer your questions.
And I appreciate your responses, because simple responses like what you gave earlier, saying that you seen that rumor about the, I don't remember distinctly which one it was, but you seen that rumor and it was distasteful to you then, it would have been a good idea and it would have went a long way to solving that if somebody would have just simply said it. That's all. That's the only point I'm trying to make. You guys see those rumors out there. You hear people ask you about them. You know, when you do your letter in the newspaper, you know, I'm hearing this rumor. This isn't true. That's all I'm asking you guys to do.
I will be very cognizant of that moving forward, Daphne. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that if there are any rumors, that we could squelch those so that we can continue to move forward, work together, and take care of the real issues.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, because that's what, you know, that's all I'm striving for, is to make sure that, you know, all of those things are happening. You know, I'm not here to make your life miserable, but I'm here to make sure that, you know, what's going on out here. You know, some people don't even talk to you because they think you're on the wrong side. You know, that's ridiculous. We should all be greeting each other and saying hello, and at least caring about each other. Thank you.
Daphne, on that rumor part, you know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of rumor lies going around about me, but I didn't respond because I thought if I respond, then it's only going to make it worse. So I didn't make any responses to that. But
I mean,
anyway,
I can understand your position, but at the same time, when you don't say anything, the rumor just continues to gather momentum and grow. So all I'm asking you guys for is to cut those off when you see them or you hear them.
Yeah, because I pray to Mauna, he'll make it clear that everybody will know the truth.
All right. Thank you.
One more time, Sunshine. One more time, then your time's up for today, this session.
Hanging around here. When the election was first over, the next day, and maybe the ones that were elected don't do Facebook, but I challenge the new council members, because there's a rumor going around that the tribe is broke or almost broke. So I challenge them to write a grant. Don't have to be out of this hemisphere, the amount, to bring some money in instead of shoveling it to them. Bring some in. Put something down on the table. Like they say, put the meat on the table. Write a grant. These other people do. These other directors, some of them do, some of them did. So I challenge the new council members to write a grant. And stipend's been addressed here several times today. This table does not take stipends at all. None. You can go up to $50. And if it goes beyond that, you don't take it. You're double dipping. And so if you're doing that, you better stop, or those U.S. attorneys are going to be coming after you. And I look at all of you. And I know all of you. I know your grandparents, your parents. And I would like to say to you to appreciate that man sitting there. Appreciate him while we have him sitting there. He's a well of knowledge. Utilize him. You know, he's got Parkinson's. That affects the body, but not the brain. It's all there yet. Respect him. He's an elder with knowledge. Maybe he don't have like our tribal knowledge, but he has some because his mother was a tribal woman. Traditional tribal woman. But respect him for what he knows about the white man and how he works, how he thinks. He knows that. That will help you. I've heard from several of you that when you got elected, you didn't know. You did not know what to do. You didn't know the job. You know, and I'm sitting over there and I was thinking, well, why'd they run?
That's not the point that I made.
And no, but I heard it from several people, I said. I didn't say I heard it from just you. And it's kind of daunting to see some of this adversary behavior from this table to these people out here. You're not supposed to do that. It goes with a seat. We're here because we're concerned. We didn't come here, well, I didn't, she didn't, to pick a fight with you. We didn't do that. We came here to find out. It's like throwing the grain in the air and see all the chaff disappear. And you're left with the corn. That's what we came to do, is to get rid of all of that bad stuff and keep the good stuff. That's why we came here to talk to you. But some of you, you know, you're not open to talking to us. And I hope they remember that. I really do. 'Cause I will. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeannie. I'll answer these questions. Ho Chunk Inc. I support Ho Chunk Inc. mostly. But I wanted to say, Lance, now I know why you're not here. He told me he's not going to be here, and now I know why. I know he's probably watching. Yeah, I know. He said November is a real nasty month. I got you, Lance. I do support Ho Chunk Inc. Replace the vacant seat, I don't know. Headhunting list. I was headhunted in 2016. I forgive him. Salaries. I don't know. I don't know what every councilman, it can be adjusted, it can be whatever, but like I said, everything's got to be looked at across the board, from tribal council, Ho Chunk Inc. to Winnebago's to the hospital. If you made promises for votes, that's something you'll have to deal with. Everything, these rumors. I take no stipends. I just turn down my hospital stipend. We can get a report who does. That's all public information. You should be entitled to that. We can work on that. Drug testing, I passed my hair follicle drug testing 2 years in a row now. I have no problem with that. I don't know nothing about the Taser incident. The U.S. Attorney, yeah, we do want answers. We want to know what's going on. If you guys can answer that, we would listen to you. It's true, there isn't a manual how to do this job, this tribal council job. Rants and raves at fellow councilmen. I can't say we created or filled any jobs, really. Ethics complaints, those should be on, like I said, written and documented complaints. That's what we need, otherwise it's hearsay. The election tampering, we'll decide that later. But things to think about, when you talk about the U.S. Attorney back in, was it 2015, the FBI and U.S. Attorney was invited here by our tribal members. And some of those tribal members they were getting stipends, profit sharing, very healthy ones. And although it did happen, we invited FBI and U.S. Attorney here to prosecute our fellow tribal members. So I hope we answered you guys' question and we satisfied these rumors. Anyway. One last question. Okay.
Just as a reminder, we do have a constitution. And in the constitution it says the chairman's only authority is to run the meetings. There has to be a motion that directs you to do something by this table. So that's the law. Secondly, we're going to discuss it today, later on at 1 o'clock. But one member of this table doesn't speak. It has to be a motion. That's clear in the Constitution. And so I wouldn't say that, and I respect the chairman's position, but the chairman doesn't speak for me if I was sitting at this table. It has to be by a motion. For instance, I brought up the DDU Center. That past chairman that went up to Aberdeen and signed over the DDU back to the area IHS, there was no motion. And do you know the money to build that DDU came from unspent dollars for the hospital construction? The IHS estimated $3 million to renovate the newer part of the old hospital. And it was their engineers that said it could be done. But after a year of beginning the renovations, they found out that whole building was being held up by bricks. So we got the area director down here and we said, we know that what was appropriated by Congress The construction didn't even start till a whole year later. So where's that staffing money and where's that construction money that wasn't spent? And I wouldn't give on that. And finally he said, all right, there's $5 million sitting in the Great Plains revenue account. And so we can rebuild a new DDU. So that DDU building over there, it's us, the Winnebago tribe, that fought for 18 years to get that construction. So a chairman signing it back to the Great Plains area, that is ludicrous. And I know what I'm talking about because I questioned that chairman just as a tribal member. Why did you do that? Where's the motion? And he said, well, because the Omahas were going to put in to contract their half of that DDU. That's what he told me. I said, it doesn't matter. It should have been done by motion. So if we want our DDU to treat our sick people, let's do whatever we have to do to get it designated to treat meth toxicity. It's sitting right next to the hospital. Yesterday we met our new doctor of internal medicine that's a permanent physician. His name is Dr. Alturi. And he's the one that's doing the admissions. They call him the hospitalist. So we have the people here to treat meth toxicity. So I just wanted to bring that up about there is the Constitution, and it says very clearly what each your roles are. And then I want to say one final thing about Robert's Rules of Order. The people had a secretarial election back in the 90s, I believe, or 80s. And we approved it, that this table runs on Robert's Rules of Order as how we conduct business. But there is no limit to tribal members getting up and addressing the tribal council. What you brought up, John, was in debate. Debate is when Louis makes a motion, somebody seconds it, and then there's going to be a discussion. And that's what they're describing as either for the motion or against the motion. That's what's debate. That is not address when a tribal member comes forward to ask questions of their council. I just want to clarify that. So I want to thank you at least for listening finally after we had to get a little bit riled up to answer each one of the questions, all of you. That's all we needed. So, Pina Gigi, Midaku Oyasi.
Mm-hmm. Part of our conversation last month with my first hospital board meeting is we are when the guns quit smoking and we got more ammo, we're gonna go after that DDU. We are. So, okay, let's get back. Thank you, Daphne, very much. Llewellyn Walker.
I want to say good morning to everybody. I wanted to bring to the tribal council an issue that has been in Winnebago all my life. It's an issue of homelessness for veterans. Winnebagos are supposed to uphold the combat veterans, the honorably discharged veterans, as the upper echelon in our community. But yet we don't do nothing for them. Powwow time, we hold a flag up for our dead, for our fallen comrades, for our family members that have passed on, and that's it. That's all we do. That's all I ever see. One of the things that I wanted to get at was like I don't know if any of you remember my uncle Spencer Earth. He died in a pickup truck, and he was one of the most decorated men in Winnebago, and he didn't have a home to go to. There's a lot of them. I got a list of people in the back, but I wrote a letter that I wanted to read to you guys. It says, my first point I want to stress is echelon of the Ho-Chunga Wongshink Woshoshe. That's the combat veterans for the Maikate, or those that you don't understand Ho-Chunk. It's the Winnebago veterans, the people who have touched the enemy, so to speak. They're the ones that are the ones that we hold supposedly up here, but they don't. And it says, aren't the combat veterans supposed to be held of the highest respect to where they earn their right amongst the tribe as a whole? Then why are they all homeless? Most were winos because they had no home to go to. And why? Because of PTSD. And a lot of the veterans who had PTSD, they didn't know or weren't diagnosed as such. And the ramifications was alcoholism, drug addiction, or became violent offenders in the eyes of the law. This stands true today. Look at the homeless, all wards of the court, and are frowned upon with little or no help from the hospital or the tribe. There were such unfortunate veterans that I spoke of, like my Uncle Spencer. And I was homeless for 4 years, walking in blizzards and getting frostbite on the extremities, all because I had nowhere to go. My brother Garrett, he was struck by a car, killing him because he didn't have nowhere to go. These are just some examples of our horror stories of the homeless veterans. I propose a unit of apartments, or primarily for the homeless veterans, or cabins constructed like those of the hunting cabins, primarily for our veterans who have nowhere to go, at minimal cost. And then if there's any other comments or anything from the community as to answer or a proposition for constructing, or what resources we have available right now for homeless veterans. I would like to see the tribal council do something, make a motion today to try to do something to end this problem that we have in our community. And I could ask the community right now to raise your hands. How many of us have homeless veterans in our families? You know, probably every one of us. But the thing about it is nothing ever gets done about it. I've approached Kurt Saintsier when he was on the council a long time ago about the Veterans Administration in the Dakota Dunes. They have what's called the HUD-VASH, Housing for Urban Development for the Homeless Veterans. And they have a voucher that I showed Curtis. And Kurt says, why can't we have that here? And I said, I don't know. I said it goes from Sioux City to Dakota City to Emerson to Thurston to Pender to Decatur, all around the reservation, but it don't come on the reservation. Why is that? And nobody has an answer. So Kurt said, well, let's try to see if we can get this established. And that was on the council then. And he passed away, God forbid. God rest his soul, I mean. And that dropped, the ball dropped, and I wanted to try to continue on with that, what Kurt wanted to do, to see if we can institute something for the problems that I'm addressing. So if the community has anything to input, it'd be appreciated, because I'm the only one that I know that ever comes and addresses not only this council, but the council before. And I get brushed off, and yeah, we'll try to see if we can do something, and brush me off. And it ain't like I got a lot of money to go buy a house. I don't have that luxury. It ain't like I come from the rich family where they can just hand me a house. It ain't like that. I don't have that luxury that some of you have. With that being said, I want to thank you for your time. And if there's any questions that you might have to ask me, go ahead and shoot. I'll see if I can answer anything.
Darren. Rollin.
Thank you, Thunder, for bringing forth this issue with our veterans, and then this homelessness issue that is brought to the forefront today. I know that the past council has put forth their level-headed best, their efforts to address that with Jim, and then Kurt, and then Frank, and they really had a passion for this particular project. And I know that the housing over there where HUD, our housing, there's funds that's available for that, and they have brought in plans to build units that you described, so that they could address that issue. And those plans were approved, and there's a site location that was approved and picked, and I don't know where else we are at in that process, though, as far as making that happen at a more rapid rate, so that we could house these individuals, these men and women as well, in these places. I apologize that it's not happening as fast as we'd like it to. There's a lot of bureaucratic red tape that comes along with these funds that we have no control over, and there's a lot of hoops that we have to jump through to make sure that we secure that funding. And so that's kind of where that's at, to my knowledge, to try to answer that and then kind of put your mind at ease. But I know that doesn't put a roof over your head right now. And so we're trying to address these issues of homelessness currently. There's the men's homeless shelter, and then we're looking at possibly, if this table decides to make something available for our Inuk relatives, and so those are the options that we have currently to meet that immediate need. But I know that that doesn't satisfy what you brought forth. But know that we are working toward that. I don't have a definite answer for you. I wish I had more to share on that, because if I knew more, I would definitely tell you. But that's what I have. But thank you. I appreciate your service and what you've done for us, and serving, and then bringing this issue up and then standing up for the relatives like that.
Oh,
thank you, Pino.
Thunder.
Yeah, Louis.
I remember you when you were working for me as bingo hall. You were a hell of a good worker. But we, with the help of the Reverend, Reformed Church Reverend, modified a trailer for use by homeless men. Kuhneman, my cousin, stayed there. Why can't you stay there?
I did stay there, and one of the residents there pulled a 9mm on me, and I walked away from that homeless shelter. And my sister Twyla didn't want me to go back there to be subjected to that kind of behavior and treatment.
Did you report it?
Yeah, it was reported to the police.
Was that a, is he still staying there?
Is who?
Is that homeless person
Yeah, they're still
staying
there.
Thelma?
If one of the other council members that if they know about this, if they can kind of say something on this, I thought there was monies available for tiny homes for veterans.
Yes,
There is money. We do have an application. We do have plans, designs, everything in this. It's just in the process of 4 units. Jeannie can tell you more.
Within the last several years, HUD made money available for veteran homes. It's not a lot of money, and the first go round, or the first, I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was it the first go round? They awarded the money to who they wanted to, and it was the bigger tribes that got the money. So then we came in on the second year or third year, but we didn't get what the big tribes got. We got enough for like, I think 3, but by our architect doing this and doing that, we got 4 out of the money they gave us. And so it took us a long time to get it off the ground because you need an environmental review, even if you're going to put a post in the ground. And we could only get one company to come and do our review. And if anybody knows HUD, you need 2 or 3 of everything. So they kept turning us down because we only had 1. But no one else would put a bid in. And we were advertising nationally to come and do an environmental review. When they found out how small it was and how small we were, a lot of them passed up. But we finally got HUD after about 3, going on 4 times. We were getting ready to do the 4th one, and they said, "Okay, you are able to use just the one. So we got past that hurdle. And now we got the architect's plan for the homes. And they're not quite, we were shooting for tiny homes, but somehow it morphed into something just a little bigger. It's still small, but it's not tiny. And hopefully by spring, we're gonna start construction. If Trump don't take our money. It all depends on Washington and HUD. So then, if somebody can put in a good word for us, Tori.
Did we get an award?
Yeah, we did. We did. And it's virtual money right now. It's sitting out there somewhere. We don't have it. So that's the saga of the veterans' tiny homes. And this is just like a pilot program. They usually don't do it, but they're just trying it to see how this works with that segment of the populations in Indian country. This money is just, that we get is just for reservations. And the bigger, flashier reservations usually get the money. I don't know how we got it, but we got it. So at least we'll have 4 veteran designated homes. And they're only for veterans, no one else.
Is there a projected timeline on that as to when something will actually be started?
Well, we've done the environmental. The place is all picked, and they approved it. So there's what do they call that, where they go in with the heavy equipment? There's all of that to be done right there. Yeah, all of that has to be done. Some of that infrastructure is there, but it's been so long that, they don't know what state it's in. They have to check it.
Do you remember there's plans? We already approved the plans the housing board did
Yeah.
for those, so the money must be there, because if we had to,
Well,
the
it
housing
is-
had to pay for that design plan.
It is there, but like I said, right now it's virtual money. They did give us money, but they still have it.
Hopefully by next fall.
Yeah.
Maunka.
Oh, hichikoloriwi, hidikaragiwi. Igi hochankia raja mauka hingairena. Anaga wakanja hiki karachija waujena. Anaga hochakti sho cheja ho wawahi jena. I just want to say, I'd like to know how many people are homeless, our veterans are homeless, and I'm glad that you brought this to the forefront again. I was appointed to the council. I was one of the next people in line during one of our historical moments in our nation. And Victoria Kitcheon made the motion to appoint me. I was the next highest vote getter. And during those 5 months, veteran came in, and I believe he was living in a van with his children. I might be confusing 2 stories, because there was another man living in the storage units behind the Pony Express. So these sort of things bother me. We have veterans in all of our families, and have a significant part in our lives. So I'm very solution oriented and always focus on the positive solution, and that's where my mind goes. And so that's where it's going right now again. But what we did as a council is put together a proposal that, and I met with John and Coley about this, and because there is no manual, is that I learned in 5 months, for those of you that are new, like we want to get stuff done, right? We have ideas. Is that if we want to get those ideas done, we have to put that messaging into a meaningful format so people understand what we're trying to do. And little did I know, back in 1999, being the planning department, having to write a federal grant for the first time, I bought a book online called The Anatomy of Persuasion, and I've been using it ever since. Pretty powerful stuff. But all it is just a format of taking your ideas and flowing it through. And what I would do is I'd put it on paper, my thoughts on paper, and then I would go and meet with each council person individually. And I would talk to them and let them read it and kind of absorb it. And then they'd give me their feedback, and then we tweak it, and then we tweak it. And I keep doing that until I built consensus and understanding. And that they understood the idea, whether they supported it or not. So then I would put that on the agenda. So one of the things that I did to address this particular issue that concerns me still today is I knew that the current composition of the board of directors of Ho Chunk Inc., I just felt that we didn't have time to wait and we needed to act. And so by going through that process, I made the motion on the table to that proposal, and that proposal was for Ho Chunk Inc. to give them 45 days to come up with a plan of action, and to come back here and present that plan of action to address the housing shortage. And at that time in 2015, there were 200 people on the list for housing. There's probably more now. I don't know what the exact data is for veterans that are homeless. I would like to know, actually, so we can make a data-informed decision to address how many veterans actually need homes. But the general idea was, all right, 200 units, not houses, units to address at least the immediate need that we knew about, 200 people on a list, a waiting list. Well, Ho Chunk Inc., Lance came back here and in less than 30 days, and they took it very seriously, and they put together an action plan. And that action plan was to build 100 units in 5 years, which was very aggressive based on their production cycle, how many they could produce, lay the infrastructure and all that stuff. And it seemed very reasonable. And he proposed that we can go shoot for 200, but we'll lay the infrastructure for another 100 5 years after the first 5 years. So it seemed very logical. And I think that they had asked for support, percentage of the Ho Chunk Inc. dividend to commit to that initiative. That's how that happened. That's a tool in the toolbox. As it relates to immediate needs, I'm very curious. At Little Priest, we had limited resources, so we've learned to be very resourceful with what we've got. And quite frankly, I think we're working miracles with what we have. And I don't take that for granted. A lot of good stuff happening there. But the federal surplus system. The Winnebago tribe of Nebraska is eligible to participate in the federal surplus system. Any entity of the tribe. And so we're registered and trying to get our people to actually use it is another thing. But that's a real resource, very real resource that you have access to right now. And I think that our leadership and council and our administration could probably make that happen pretty quickly. And I'm guessing we're already doing a little bit of that, I don't know. But the federal surplus, I mean, there could be trailers, there could be some sort of housing or something like that. I mean, we've got land. We've got the capability to hook stuff up. We've got the capability to move things. The only real cost for us with that particular resource is the cost of moving it, I guess. And we've actually been looking at that for Little Priest to expand student, staff, faculty housing. And maybe even classrooms or whatever we're going to use it for, because it's essentially free other than the cost of transport. So that's a real resource that maybe, and you got to go on there and someone's got to actively look in on this website, because once it's gone, and somebody else has taken it. So I would recommend that. The other thing is that if we have the data, just to make a data-informed decision, is put together another action plan to address and make that an initiative. Because I agree with you, Thunder. On many levels, that it's like to hear that story about our veteran in a van with his son in the hot sun in the summer. I mean, I was embarrassed by that. And to hear this again, I'm embarrassed again. So I'm the type of person that wants to do something about it, at least put my skills to work in some way to help solve that problem and address it, even if it's just brainstorming. But I'm familiar with different sort of resources in my journey, and so that's one of them. But the community, the USDA has what's called a community facilities program, and it's basically 80% of it's a low interest loan. And we're actually looking at that for Little Priest as a possible financing option to expand the campus once we complete the 10 acres project. And that's a real resource. And the government guarantees 80% of that loan. So you could use that for housing, you could use that for community facilities, you could use that, whatever, whatever initiative. But there's got to be a plan behind that. And which sort of gets me to something that's bugging me, because it's unfinished work in my mind when I was on the council. But moved to reestablish the planning department for the Winnebago tribal government. My field is management, and the first function of management is planning. And without a planning function in an organization, you're ineffective. And that's a fact. So we've got to plan. And so we reestablished the planning department. We even wrote language into the job descriptions of our administration to emphasize planning. So I would put back on to our leadership is that, where's the plan? Let's put the plan together, and these sort of priorities, what does the data say to inform us so that we can elevate each respective priority? And then we can allocate resources strategically to that end. But there's the Indian Community Development Block Grant. And the way it's working is that all the entities are on a list. We're on the list because we're interested in funding our expansion at the college. And when that Indian Community Development Block Grant comes up again, I mean, we want to apply. But it's got to be a big project. We can maximize that. But that's the tribe delegating that opportunity to one of the entities. But that's an option. I'm not familiar with that HUD one, but if it's available, you just need a team focused on it, and it's got to be part of the plan. The other thing is going back to that initiative to expand 200 units. Obviously we're committed to that. We see the grading going on the 40 acres, and I like to see what's happening there. But even in that master design, that master plan, is that, if this is our community priority, then again, it's got to be part of the plan so we can emphasize and build that, build those sort of things and provide those sort of opportunities. It sounds like it's sort of a whole program, really. And I don't know what our veterans' actual situation is, but I'm very curious. I'd like to know. So anyway, listening, and Little Priest is one of our warriors. I take that very seriously, and I've been thinking a lot about what can we do at the college to recognize and honor our people that have chosen that pathway. And there's probably some things at the college that we can do, at least on our end, to support you guys, whether that's coming to school for free, right? Getting an education or doing other things, right? I believe in that firmly. So, but the housing, you know, I don't want to wake up and hear about someone's frozen to death. Especially when we have so much capability in our nation here, so much capability. We have, and my definition of effective leadership, this is my personal definition, is the people that can harness the collective skills and knowledge and abilities and talents of all of our specialized people. That's effective leadership towards the common goal. And I would ask, you know, listening this morning, I would ask, you know, all of our people to think about that, to reflect on that. You know, how can we harness our collective specialized areas and put it to work towards the common goal? Because that's what I represent. I'm for that. And I just want, you know, these sort of things, the meth, all these issues, they're very real. You know, they're in our family. They destroy our people. I met with Chairman Brown and Vice Chairman Snowball yesterday. Just had yesterday, and just had the opportunity to have their ear for a moment. And I have some ideas, and I want the community to know this because these are other resources. Is that we're talking about the DDU unit, but we also have a police issue, and we need to compact, once and for all, we need to fully compact all this stuff away from the federal government and become fully independent, because that's what the vision was for our people. Our people had that vision, is to be independent and self-sufficient and not beholden to others, including the federales. So in that process, the Self-Determination and Educational Assistance Act actually allows us to compact those funds away. So all these police, and we had the gun scare a couple weeks ago, that was very real for us on campus. And that really woke, I mean, we had some gun training at the campus, thank goodness, because we fell back on that training. And we realized we need more of that. But at that moment, the police, we didn't have enough police in our community. That's a fact. So a critical and strategic solution to that problem, which is an act of our sovereignty, is to move, someone make a motion to move to compact the BIA services and police away from the federal government. And we can consolidate the police force, and that will be a larger bag of money to fund our own police. And they can't detail them out. And then we're in control of our policing here. That's gotta happen. The DDU stuff, that's gotta happen. All of that complete compacting, we've got, our people knew that we needed education to do these things, and we have been committed to it for many decades. We even have alumni now from our own higher education institution. They're going on and getting master's degrees. You know, they're going on and they're coming in, they're filling our positions. That dream and vision is being fulfilled in front of us. And those people are in our circle. And let's put us to work on that stuff. And I'm willing to do my part. But the compacting, don't even wait. Let's just do it. Let's put that together in a plan. Because our community's not shrinking. It's growing. And so we need to plan for that growth. But we need a plan for that growth. And coming together and establishing, you know, that sort of planning initiative, putting those people together collectively, I know that we'll have the best plan on the planet for our people. I know that. I believe that, truly. Because this is our country. So we've got the police, and I'm a tax commissioner. And I've been doing this for a while. I have a real interest in this because it's a form of sovereignty of ours, that we have the power to tax. And I was able to make the motion to establish 4 goals for the Winnebago Tax Commission. And because of deaths and things like that, we haven't been able to get quorums and conduct business. And that really bothers me because the tribe there's resources right in front of us that we're leaving on the table, and those are our own tribal tax dollars. And I talked to John about this because he's the chair now of the tax commission the other day. And there are tools in the toolbox right there that we can generate resources. And as part of collecting those new resources, some of them existing, we're not even collecting them. Those existing resources, we can allocate those resources to our priorities. Now, it may not be like a windfall, but it's money that we're not even collecting that we could allocate to housing. We could allocate it to a veterans initiative. We could, whatever the government, whatever we want. Some of it goes to the college, whatever that is, right? Anyway, I want to bring that to your attention because I think that, and I want you to know, Thunder, I'm thinking about that on my end and my duty as a tax commissioner, okay? And so, like, I always have that in my mind of if we can allocate those sort of things, we should do it because that's what it's there for. That's Kakamarji talking to me, you know, like, that's what it's there for, you know, use it. Anyway, I just felt compelled that I should probably share that. And again, I think that right here with the group, if you have the ideas, I just recommend, you know, put them together on paper. I'm willing even to help. And then, but build consensus individually with each other. You know, sit down with each other and build consensus with your ideas and then bring it to the table. And so, like, and then that stuff moves. Then we're moving the nation forward, you know, we're moving them forward. And your worker bees that are out there, you know, support them. You know, support them and, you know, create an environment where they want to come to work, you know, they want to make a difference in people's lives. So, and, you know, because the reality is that we're in this together. The last thing I want to mention, or another thing that really concerns me, I have a passion for our people's health. It's concerning to me that we're having high rates of cancer, and we need to discover and find out, is there something in the water, in our water in the community? And we need to figure that out. Because and we need the data. We need the data to find out, you know, what were the cancer rates X number of years ago. You know, I was blown away to hear our relatives, when Curtis was alive, just talking about 4 of our 4 board members having cancer, all on the same board. And then we lose Jim, you know, that's cancer. You know, we know the food supply itself is already poisonous. You know, and going back to the farmer's market and our traditional food is definitely the right idea, and we need to continue supporting that 100%. 100%. Keep us close to the garden, eating our traditional proteins, those sort of things. But affordable, yeah, but what is in the water, and what is the farmer that we're leasing this land to, what are they putting in on our land, and who's monitoring that? This is our community, you know, right? So what are we going to do about that? You know, because we got to have water, right? We have these water for life people, you know. I'm for clean water, I can assure you that. That's the first thing I bought when I built my home, is I bought a filtration system because of that. And my water is filtered. And we're working at Little Priest for all the buildings to be filtered. And I'm doing that for that same reason. So that our people come there and they drink water, it's filtered. At least we could do that. That's in our control. And we budget for that. But on this level, I'm thinking regulations, who's monitoring the farmers, what does that look like, you know? And we really need to be thinking about that, because we can't just keep like, you know, it's cancer, right? They got cancer. Well, but what if they don't have to have cancer? Those are our people, right? And they could be with us longer. So, anyway, Thunder, I'm gonna do my part, okay? I promise. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Monica. So maybe you'll understand in the coming years when somebody says that I don't want you to build off reservation housing no more apartments. Look at our housing waiting list. It's in the 200, and we're building off reservation. Explain that to us. Thunder, anything else?
No, I'm on every housing list around here. Closest I am is 7. So I got 7 people in front of me on HCC, DC, EBT, whatever it is, for them to get me up on front of their list. And thank you for your time. Oh.
Thank you. On our agenda, we have Randy Tebow and Barbara Pertenzigo. We will be needing to go into executive session on those two since they are HR matters, but we'll address our last item on the agenda is a senior citizens gift. And Thelma, you're going to speak on that.
Okay, I wanted to make a motion to give the elders at 70 and over $100 for Christmas. We have 278 that is on and off reservation, and it will come from since Dusty doesn't take any pay, it will come from his part.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second it.
It's a motion by Thelma, second by Roland. Any objections to the motion?
Mr. Chairman, discussion?
I got to abstain.
Discussion. Mr. Chairman, the whole membership is aware that we're in a $1.5 million deficit. And while that's a nice gesture, how are we going to do such a thing with a deficit? And I'm a senior, I'm 65 years old. And I really appreciate being able to go out to the casino and play $50 free play twice a month. And I appreciate being able to eat at $30 a month. But with all the need that's out there, how do we justify that? Our little children don't even get anything entered into their per caps, into the trust fund. We got a Boys and Girls Club that's about ready to fall apart. And so I just think that it's a nice gesture, but how do, with our deficit, how are we going to do something? If there's $2,700 or ever how many people, put it into the Boys and Girls Club. That's just because you know what it looks like? It looks like buying votes. That's what it looks like. When you make a motion for one segment of the population to get something, it looks in the long run indirectly like buying votes. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any objections? Discussion.
I object because I'd like to see all our seniors included in this, and I thought we were going to see numbers that showed the membership versus those different age gaps that we talked about. So I'm not prepared to support this motion because I wanted to see more information, and I thought that's what we were going to discuss at the next treasurer's report. Thank you. But thank you, Thelma, because I think it is something positive. But I also think it looks like buying or making good on promises. But I also want to know if we can afford it and if we could include more seniors if we are going to do it. Thank you.
Okay, I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
4. Any no? Who votes no? Objection? 1, 2. No. 3, 0 abstentions. Motion passed 4-3-0. Thank you. Motion to go into executive session for these 2 HR matters.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Tori, seconded by John. We're in executive session at 12:23.
Chairman, can you tell the viewers that after the executive session, that's the end of the agenda?
Yes. After the executive session, viewers, that's the end of the agenda, and we will be adjourning then. Thank you.